The content of Justin Miller's story could be traumatic for some listeners. If you feel triggered, please contact me and I will be happy to speak to you for support, and I will help you find resources if that's what you need. Please remember Justin Miller's app, which is Objective Zero. This is exactly why it was created. You can reach out to other veterans and other military members for support. Thank you. Hello, this is Jill Garvin. I am the Director of Psychological Health for the 102nd Intelligence Wing. This is our monthly podcast where we are discussing different topics around wellness. If you would like to be on the podcast or you have any suggestions, please contact me. I'm in the Global, or you can contact me at 508-237-6652. Today, we had our Tactical Pause Day. We had an incredible speaker. I can't even express what a great morning we had, and our speaker was Justin Miller. He is the co-founder and deputy executive director of Objective Zero, which we'll talk about. He is originally from West Virginia. Justin enlisted as an infantryman in the U.S. Army in April of 2003. He served for 11 years, deploying twice to Iraq, and he served as a rifleman with the 1st Battalion, 506 Infantryman Regiment, and was an infantry scout and sniper team leader with the 2nd Battalion, 12th Infantry Regiment, and was also an infantry squad leader with the 3rd Battalion, 7th Infantry Regiment at Fort Stewart, Georgia. Justin also served as a military recruiter in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. He has an Associates of Art from Columbia Southern University. He's always willing to share his inspirational story, which he did with us this morning. I don't want to take up too much time because I want him to share with us some more. We got so much wonderful feedback. I had to rush him along this morning after he spoke because everybody wanted to thank him and share what a profound effect that he had on them this morning. You know, I heard things like, "You're the best speaker I've ever heard," and thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us. And we broke out into small groups, and I went around and sat in with the small groups, and people were really willing to share and to be vulnerable with each other. And I really think Justin set the tone for that. I also heard many people share about, because he talked a lot about his family and how it impacted his family, and also how his family really helped him and how his family got help as well. So anyway, I'm going to let him talk a little bit and ask him some questions along the way. So thank you very much, Justin, for being here, coming all the way from Charleston. That's where you live currently. Yeah, thank you. I want you to share your story with us again, if you don't mind, and just kind of some of the things that you also heard today. Not necessarily to have you brag about it, but it really did make an impact, and I think it's important for us to hear because we are trying to shift the culture. We are trying to do something different here, and we are trying to increase our connectedness and our sense of belonging here at the 102nd, and I really think that you facilitated that this morning. Thank you.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's been a fun journey. It was very exciting this morning. You know, I've spoken quite a few times now, and having 2 packed back-to-back auditoriums, you could just feel the energy. You could feel they were locked in. They were listening. You could tell that they were really paying attention. Usually when I speak, I can see, I usually see 1 or 2 of them in the crowd that are really leaning forward and really catching in, teary eyes. And I usually have to avoid looking at those ones because sometimes it's a struggle to keep myself together during some some parts of my story. And this morning there's quite a few parts that were really challenging because there was more teary-eyed and more emotions going on in that auditorium than I was used to.
They were alive, yes.
So it was great, you know. So, you know, my story started with 9/11, you know, my senior year. I walked in English class, and, you know, I seen the first building was burning, and I was watching, we saw the second plane crash, and that's when my teacher just turned around, looked at me, and just started crying. And I remember I just got so angry, you know, I needed to do something about it. I knew that somebody had to step up. And, you know, as a child that had a lot of difficult situations that I went through, you know, parents divorcing at a very young age and having step-parents throughout my childhood, and dad, you know, having drug and alcohol problems, introducing us into the drug and alcohol, you know, at a very young age, you know, being physically and verbally abusive, and then going to prison right at that time when, you know, a kid really needs his dad. You know, I was 7 years old, came out when I was 10, and when he came out, that, you know, I was willing to do anything just to be able to connect and bond with him. And unfortunately, it came to the drinking and the partying. Actually joining the military was, you know, I was trying to gain my dad's approval. You know, him and I were in a scuffle one day. We were fighting in the front yard. And, you know, I pinned him down, and he told me to hit him. And I told him I wouldn't, because, you know, I said, "You're my dad, I'm not going to hit you." And he threw me off of him, and he said, "You know what, you're a freaking idiot." He goes, "If I could do it all over again, I'd join the service, and I'd have got the heck out of this town." I said, "You know what, Dad?" I said, "That's probably the smartest thing you've ever said to me." And I called my mom and said, "Hey, I need to come home. I need a place to live." She said, "I never kicked you out. You chose to go to your dad." She said, "Come on home." That was Monday afternoon, and I called my recruiter Friday. After I called the Air Force recruiter, but
darn,
they were home for the
missed
day.
You.
Yeah, you know, 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. It went to voicemail, and I knew at that moment that if I didn't make a decision to go do this, that I would have been following the exact trail my dad did. I would have ended up, you know, probably ended up dead or in prison, to be honest with you. So after I left a message for the Air Force, I ended up calling the Army, and it rang once, and Army recruiter picked up, and it went from there. You know, he picked me up Monday, signed, you know, did all my paperwork, went to the hotel that night, and Tuesday signed my contract, never looked back. Joined as an infantryman, you know, because I wanted to fight. I loved to shoot. You know, I was always a really great shot. You know, my dad always told me as a kid I should be a sniper because I could shoot really well. And, you know, and I thought maybe if I joined the military and I joined the infantry and I became a sniper, you know, I thought maybe that would get my dad's approval. I thought maybe that would help fix my dad, change my dad.
Change the relationship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought it would maybe get him to sober up, maybe get him to clean up and not be such a jerk, you know, a waste of life at that time. Thought maybe he would clean up and give my sister the dad that she needed, because she's 10 years younger than me. And, you know, I came home after basic training, same issues, you know, turned around and went to war, went through some pretty crazy crap, you know, hit by an IED that knocked me out, you know, vehicle directly behind me, about 20 meters, got hit, and it took the whole front end of the vehicle off and caved in all the windows. And sent one of our guys home. That the kid came to our unit a month before we left Korea, straight from basic training. And we got to Iraq in August, and in September, I think it's September 10th, he was already sent home. So I mean, we had all kinds of craziness going on, and my platoon sergeant turned around and left me behind in the house, where I literally had to fight and, you know, hit people with my weapon as hard as I could in the ribs and the chest, just to shove them away, to create space, just so they couldn't grab me.
How did they leave you?
You know, I've always wondered that, you know, and it's taken me years to kind of get it all and piece it all together. Now it all makes sense. You know, we just got hit by an IED, and it was, you know, IEDs it wasn't a small one, you know, it was big, and it knocked me out. And, you know, whether it knocked him, you know, my platoon sergeant out or not, it was enough that it rang all of our bells. And so they pulled me out of the gun and put me down as the driver, and we went back to the blast site, and there was an Iraqi police truck sitting there in an alleyway. We said, well, let's go talk to them and see if they saw anything. Well, as we pulled in towards them, they took off running. And so, well, this isn't right. So we started chasing them, and they made a left. And as we were making the left, they handed a camera off to a kid, and the kid ran left, and they took off right. So we went after the kid, and didn't find the kid, but we found the camera. And then we went to the Iraqi police station. After some extensive interrogation, you know, and questioning, we were able to find the two guys. Well, then the in-sector commander was a Bradley commander, and he said, well, hey, we need to go back to that house they threw the camera in, and we need to raid that to make sure that that's not where they were making that IED, because on the footage of the camera, it was instructional video on how to make IEDs, and then making that IED and then placing it and then blowing us up. And so he said, well, hey, give me one of your guys, and, you know, we'll ride down into Bradley. That way, if there's an IED or, you know, they placed one in, we get hit in the Bradley, less likely we'll get hurt. You know, we'll take the blunt of it. I said, well, heck, I already got friggin' knocked out. Well, why not send me down there? I said, I'll go. I don't have a problem with that. So, you know, I was the gunner. I had a 240. I had one magazine on me because I didn't have an M4. Well, because he switched out with the driver, I now had the driver's M4 with his magazine in the weapon and the one on my chest. So I get into Bradley, we ride down to the house, we go in, we clear this house, and on the way out, the Bradley commander says, hey, we need pictures of this house showing we didn't destroy it. So as I go in, the Bradley commander's, you know, hey, I'm going to continue my mission. He got in his Bradley, he left. Well, platoon sergeant rode down to the house with the guys that were in his Humvee, which was now his driver, the medic, and whatever extra guy that was in there. He drove back to the house. I wasn't in there. I was in the Bradley. Well, Bradley left. I was in the house getting pictures. Platoon sergeant just figured, hey, I got everybody up in my truck. Didn't think about the fact that they just sent me back in to get pictures. So I'm in there taking pictures, and you know, I can't hear. We just got blown up, so my ears are ringing. And I start taking pictures of the downstairs, and start going up the steps to get the upstairs. And as I go up the first flight and hit the landing and turn and start going up the next flight, I take that first step, and all of a sudden a lady comes running and screaming. And you know, she has the sound of panic and anger, you know, and Then she sees me, and she goes from an upset look to an angry look, and the whole sound of her voice changes, and she starts screaming outside. And I can just tell there's something different, and something was out of place. So I turned and I started walking outside. I'm like, you know what? Forget the upstairs. I'm going outside and see what's up. So as I'm walking outside, there's 3 guys walking in the gate. And here I'm 20 years old, thinking I have 4 trucks, 4 machine guns, 12 to 15 guys, thinking they got my back. 3 guys come walking in, arrogant 20-year-old. Look at him, throw my shoulders down, like, what you looking at? Shoulder check the guys I walk past. And that's when I get out in the alleyway and realize, oh my God, there ain't nobody. Nothing but Iraqis packed in this alleyway.
You were alone.
Yep. There's not a single American out there. And this was just a few months after the journalist was beheaded live on TV. So my only thought was, put your back to the wall so they can't grab you from behind, and do whatever you gotta do to make it back. I said I knew the vehicles were facing towards the left. I knew the main road was, behind, the way I was looking coming out. And I knew the main, our base was, about 2 miles off to the left. So, put my back up to the wall and started working my way down to the left. As I was going to the left, they started swarming me to the right. So I turned and I just started hitting people. And I probably broke 12 people or more, ribs, sternums. Just hitting them, trying to shove them away from me, keeping them off me. And I finally hit an alleyway and I just took off running. And I ran about 2 blocks down, hit a T intersection, looked left, there's nobody, looked right, last vehicle was turning a couple blocks down. And as I turned to run towards him, a single gunshot rang off and it hit the wall by my head. And I kind of ducked down and looked behind me, and that's when I realized there's a crowd of people chasing me. They came around the corner, and that's when they realized, there's a truck with a 240 pointing at them, and all of a sudden they stopped. And so, I caught up to them. That was November 16th. So the whole month of November was just it was hell, to put it lightly. So the very beginning of the month, we were doing dismounted patrol. These little boy and girl, I'll never forget them. They were the shining light. You'd see these little kids. They were the true innocents in that country. They seen us, they'd blow us kisses, they'd throw us the I love you sign, they'd yell, we love Americans. They'd give us hugs, we'd give them candy, we'd give them water, we'd give them MREs. They were just so awesome. And so the end of October, early November, we were doing dismounted patrol, about 4 or 5 hours into it, walking down the road by their house, and all of a sudden they come up to us, grab our arms, and start skipping, swinging our hands like kids do. And we hit an alleyway, and they started tugging on us to pull us down the alleyway. So we kind of yanked our arms back, kind of frustrated, irritated, really hot, walking for hours. And as we keep on walking, now we come to the front of their house, and they at this point they grab us with both hands and desperately start tugging us into their house, into their courtyard. So we call for everybody, pull security, push out, call for the interpreter to come up. Kids just keep going boom, boom, with their hands and making a noise. And the interpreter comes up and they tell them, and the interpreter says, hey, they say there's a bomb in the road. You guys are about to walk over it. So we call EOD up, and sure enough, there was, 3 155 rounds buried right in the middle of the road that we were about to walk right over top of.
They saved your life.
Saved our lives. With no disregard to their families, their safety. They didn't even care about that.
Wow.
Put their whole family's life at risk to save our lives because they're pure innocence. Just happy children that just knew no evil, just knew happiness. Then November 11th comes around. We were in Sector QRF. Hear a car bomb go off. It was probably the biggest explosion I've ever heard in my life. Mushroom cloud blows 300-400 meters in the air. It's freaking huge. The radio goes crazy, calling for all elements in sector, mass casualties. We need all medics. We go flying down there. We're first element on scene, and being lead truck, we go pulling down and they say, you come down here and they need you to do a button hook. Pull beside Sergeant Huey, who's laying in the median, so the medic can have security to work on him. We pull right beside him. I was given the sectors from the alleyway at the 9 o'clock to the alleyway at the 1 o'clock. And so I looked down beside me at Sergeant Huey, who ended up dying from his wounds. I watch him fighting for his life, and I watch the medic do everything he can, and they load him up and rush him off to the cache, to the aid station to try to get him flown out. And I just couldn't look at that anymore, so I looked up and looked down the alleyway at the 9 o'clock, and there's that little boy.
The one that helped save your life.
Yeah. He's laying in the alleyway. Wasn't moving. Piece of shrapnel hit him in the head. And then I seen a blood trail that was going from the little boy. It went in front of the Humvee that the V-bid hit. And then I looked in front of the vehicle, and there's when I seen the little girl crawling out the front of the vehicle, reaching for me. A piece of shrapnel hit her in the stomach. And I called for help. And that's when I was told that not to worry about them. Said we have enough casualties of our own. We don't got time to worry about them. They can take care of their own. Don't let anybody near them. Pull security. I couldn't look at her anymore because I felt like I failed her. So I look over at the 1 o'clock, and that's when I realized there's a guy about to the 3 o'clock holding a 12 to 14-year-old-ish boy. Piece of shrapnel hit across his stomach, and this man was holding his child, cradled in his arms, holding his insides secure on top of his stomach, trying to get help for his son, walking towards me, crying for help. And once again, I call for help. And that's when I'm told to stop them. That boy could possibly have an IED stuck in him. That man could possibly have a suicide vest on him. Stop him any way you have to. I yelled stop, gave him the sign, pointed my weapon at him. He kept coming. I was told to fire a warning shot. And if he doesn't stop then, to engage. And I fired that warning shot, and I watched that man collapse. And he started just throwing dirt on himself and beating himself and crying and screaming up into the sky. That's when I just realized that I took everything away from that man. I just ripped his whole entire world away from him. All he wanted to do was help his son. And we were in such a messed up situation that we thought that they could have possibly stuck an IED in a child. That's the type of monsters. That is the twisted crap that people don't realize that we were dealing with. That they actually stuck bombs in people, in animals. So as we would drive by, it would just look like a donkey laying on the side of the road, or a dog laying on the side of the road. My second deployment, we actually had a human that we found in an alleyway, and as they went up to go help that human to check on him, it blew up. We had an officer sent home that all of his injuries was caused from the body. That's the stuff that nobody knows happens over there. That's the type of stuff, that's the trauma that our veterans are dealing with, that they don't know how to talk about, that they're ashamed to talk about, they're afraid to talk about, they're embarrassed to talk about because people look at them like they're crazy. So that happened on Veterans Day. So, I went from these two kids saving my life end of October, early November, to Veterans Day, watching them die and can't do nothing about it, to the 16th, me being left in sector, to asking my XO when I got back, telling him I need to talk to him saying, hey, I get to do my job for the first time this deployment. I finally get to go out in sector, and he was so pumped. Lieutenant Luke Woolenwaver, so cool. He was one of those officers that always had a smile on his face. You could be in the worst mood ever, and he would see you, and it didn't matter what he had going on, he would stop. He would stop what he was doing, he'd pull you aside, and he would talk with you. And when you left, you were smiling. He loved his job, he loved his men, he loved his country. And he finally was getting to go out in sector and just do his job, and he asked me if our conversation could wait. I said, yes, sir. I said, but just please come find me when you get back. I need to talk to you. And so I go to sleep, and about an hour or so later, maybe, one of my best friends that I joined the Army with, best friends since we were 12, he wakes me up and says, hey, man, did you hear? I was like, hear what? He's like, dude, we just lost our XO. I'm like, which XO? He's like, our XO. I was like, no, dude, no. He just left. He's like, I know. And he was just killed. And I said, no, dude. I said, like, I literally, seriously, I just talked to him. Like, I helped him load his stuff up in the truck. They literally just left the wire. Like, not.
Can't be possible.
Yep. I said, not even possible. Like, there's. Like, man, my towel's still wet from me getting out of the shower, dude. Like, no, it's not. No. Impossible. He said, dude, they left the gate, and as they're leaving the gate, they got word that there was a V-bid coming down. So they pulled off in Alpha Sector to pull security and wait for this V-bid and try to find it. And he was off on the side of the road pulling security. And that V-bid jumped the median, pulled right into where they were at, and detonated and killed him instantly. The 19th, I was out of that company, and I was sent to the Scout Sniper Platoon. And the whole company was turned against me because all the leadership was afraid of what could have happened to their careers because they forgot me, because they left me behind. They were afraid of what could have happened. I was done with it. I was over it. I made it back. I needed somebody to talk to. But I understood the crap happened. I understood we were in war. I understood we were just hit by an IED.
Right.
I knew everybody's heads weren't where they were supposed to be. I didn't hold a grudge. I was upset about it, but it was over. That was it. But then they kicked me out of the platoon, and then after I came back, it was like the second or third time I came back, I was told by leadership not to come back. I wasn't welcome there. I was cancer to stay away. And then they told everybody that I chose to leave. So then all my brothers that I fought with and I trained with, they all thought that I chose to leave them. They all thought that I abandoned them. They all thought that I was better than them and went to the Scout Sniper Platoon and thought I was better than them. That's why I didn't come back and see them. So I struggled with that, and that caused a lot of issues. And so I get back from that deployment, and they told me that, hey, you got PTSD. You need to go to this appointment. I'm like, what the heck is PTSD? I don't even know what this stuff is. I go to my leadership, and I'm like, hey, they tell me I got this PTSD. What do I do? I don't even know what this is. He says, well, what do you want to do with your career? I said, well, I love the Army. I absolutely love what I do. I want to stay in until I'm old and I can't do it no more. He says, well, you better not go to that appointment then. He goes, you do? He says, your career's over. You're non-deployable. They don't need you anymore, and they'll push you out. I said, all right, well, what do I do about these nightmares? What do I do about me not being able to sleep? What do I do about this anxiety and this fear of me going out in public? Man, I say, how do I figure this out? Do what I do, man. Just grab some beer on the way home.
Which is what a lot of people do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, just drink some beer, numb it out till you get tired, you'll fall asleep. Everything will work itself out. You'll be all right. You'll figure it out. Drink water, drive on. That's just what we're taught. Don't go get help and try to figure it out. No, let's just try to numb it. If you just keep drinking and all that, the more you drink, the more likely all your issues will just go away. That's exactly how it works. You didn't know that? You go get yourself a couple cases.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Wow.
At the end of that bottle of Jack, there's a little note at the bottom that says, here's the answer to all your problems.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I just never found that bottle. It just, I must have.
The note?
No, I must have drank it, or I just never bought the right bottle. I don't know.
But you kept looking.
But I kept looking, and so I just I struggled being around civilians. I couldn't be in public because I was constantly on edge. Was constantly searching people, looking at hands, looking at facial expressions, reading people. Do they look nervous? Are they scanning people? It's all the stuff that they teach you. And especially being in a sniper section, you look for all the signs. You look for the person that's not acting normal. You look for the person that is fidgety, that is, skittish, that is standoffish, that's shaky, that's sweating, that, you look for these things. And so here I am back home trying to figure this stuff out, trying to feel normal. And the only normal I knew was my fiance, and so I got married and, tried to grab onto anything I could that was normal to get back to life and to the life that I knew, just hoping that it would all go away. Like they said, that, just figure it out, So here I thought that things would just go away.
A relationship will fix it.
Yeah, jump into a marriage and have kids and, move your wife halfway across the country and, everything will just work itself out. Just keep on drinking and things will disappear. Didn't happen, unfortunately. All it did was make things worse.
Yeah.
Now you don't got no money. Now you got a ticked off wife because you're up drinking all night with your buddies and you didn't pay no attention to her, and when you did go to bed, you're tired or you just came in passed out.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Disaster.
Yep. And And I got word that we were deploying again. And I felt this relief.
Yeah, that's what you knew.
I was excited. I thought, thank God I'm going home where I belong.
Yeah.
Where I felt comfortable, where I felt normal, where I felt like I could breathe. And then we went to NTC to do our month-long train up. And that's when my wife called me and told me she quit her job. I said, you did what? I pulled strings to get you that job and you quit? Well, yeah, it was hot. Oh, it's hot. Okay, I'm here at NTC with 100 pounds of gear on, sweating in the middle of August. But okay, it was hot. Oh, and I gave away your dog. You what? Hung up the phone. I was mad. Furious.
Yeah.
And she called me back. And I'm going back home. Oh, so you leaving me? Well, no, I'm just going back home while you're at training. Because I took a couple pregnancy tests. Okay, and? Well, they all said the same thing. Okay, so what's that got to do with any of this? I'm pregnant. Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, what'd you say? She's, yeah, you're gonna be a dad. What? I'm not broken? You know, seriously? Holy cow. I'm gonna be a dad.
Some life-changing news.
Yeah, I'm like, what the crap? And then all of a sudden it hit me like, holy cow, you're gonna be a dad. You couldn't save those kids. You ripped that man's life away from him with a trigger pull. You couldn't save your brothers. How are you gonna be a dad?
Yeah.
You can't even be a husband. You can't even go to sleep without being drunk. You can't go out in public. How are you going to do this? Oh my God. What am I going to do? Man. Like, the fear of God came over me.
Complete panic.
Yes. Oh, it was I was never more scared in my life. And then 2 days prior to deployment, found out I was having a son. And I said, all right, well, that makes me feel comfortable now dying. I'm completely comfortable, satisfied with dying. They can kill me now and I'm good with it. Because my name's carried on, that's all I care about. The Miller name will not die. Because I'm having a son. It's better off that I die, though, because I will just destroy this kid's life. Couldn't protect those people. I obviously can't protect him or give him a life because I'm messed up. And if I'm messed up, he's definitely going to be messed up.
Is this when, sorry to interrupt you, but had you been thinking about dying, or is this when you started to really think about dying? Was it just...
Well, at this time, I already attempted suicide once.
You did, okay.
Yeah, this time I took a whole bottle of sleep meds and drank almost a half gallon of Jack. And actually was just got married in October, and I was supposed to go home for Christmas leave to pick up my wife and move her from West Virginia to Colorado, and was 15 minutes late to formation. And they took my Christmas leave away from me, took my promotable status away from me because I was an E4 promotable, and I had an E4 that crashed at my house that night. Because I was an E4 promotable and he was an E4, they said that it was fraternization, took my promotable status, took my leave, and gave me CQ on Christmas in my Class A's. So I ain't seen my sister in 2 years now. Haven't been home for Christmas in forever. Wasn't going to go home and see my wife. Wasn't going to be able to bring her back. Feel like I failed at everything. So, I'm going home now. I'm going to kill myself. So I took all the sleeping pills I could find at the house, and I just started drinking. I drank all the liquor that I had in my house. Called my friend and said, hey man, I'm drunk and I need more liquor. Come pick me up. He picked me up, went to the liquor store, got me 2 more handles, and I don't even remember getting home because I started drinking once I got back in the car. And he thought that was normal. You know, it was the infantry lifestyle. We drank, we partied.
Yeah.
That's what we knew. And so yeah, I don't remember getting back home, and I guess he said that I chugged about half the bottle, and then I filled the rest of the bottle up with Coke, put the lid on it, shook it around a little bit, and opened it up and started drinking Jack and Coke straight from the bottle. And I was probably about noon, 1 o'clock or so, and I woke up about 5 o'clock that afternoon, somebody beating on my door. And I went and opened up the door, and here's two Colorado Springs finest standing there saying, "Hey, your mom called us. She's concerned. She's been trying to reach you all day. You suicidal? Nope. Is there anything in the house that could be dangerous that you could hurt yourself with? No. Why are you bothering me? Well, because your mom thought you committed suicide. Are you all right? I'm fine. My phone was on silent. Do you have anything else? If not, you're good to go." And then I closed the door. And I was furious. The fact that I failed at killing myself. And so, you know, that was just the beginning of things. You know, at that point, I was like, I couldn't even kill myself there. You know, I just kept on trucking along. You know, and then I found out we were deploying again and got excited, and you know, I thought, yeah, all right, well, this is it. I'll go over there and, you know, get my chance to be killed over there. That'll happen. We're going to a bad area. Here's my chance. And deployed a second time. This time we went to Baghdad. During that deployment, I came home 2 days prior to my son being born. I got home March 14th. He was born on the 16th. April 1st, I was back in country to find out that one of my best friends was killed on the 29th. And I didn't get home till December 29th, and son took his first steps January 1st. And I wasn't even really able to take it in. You know, we had 16 killed my first tour, 18 killed my second tour. I was in the same unit, so I knew almost every one of them. And you know, when you're over there, you don't get time to mourn. He could be your best friend. He gets killed. Guess what? You're going to the ceremony. You do your salute. That's it.
Right.
Hey.
Move on.
Get your shit together. Let's go. That's it. You're done. Dry your tears. Wipe your face. Let's go. Get out there. You're done. You can't mourn this no more. If you feel sorry for yourself, if you're mourning this at all, you're going to get other people killed. Forget about it. It's done. It's over. Let's move forward. That's it.
Yeah.
Wipe it out. Forget about it. It don't exist anymore. It didn't happen. Move forward. If you're angry, take it out on the enemy. Go shoot somebody. Let's go. Let's go kick in the door. We got bad guys to go take care of. That's how we dealt with things. And yeah, second tour wasn't any easier. You know, the IEDs end up getting crazier. You know, they came out, these IEDs, the EFPs that were just blowing through our Humvees like, you know, Swiss cheese, just melting through us. And come back from that deployment, and after being hit by a couple IEDs and a V-bid and some grenades and mortars and RPGs, all that crazy fun stuff. And they said, all right, well, this time you got some traumatic brain injuries. You need to go get checked out for that. And you have severe PTSD. You need to go get checked out for that. Go to my leadership. Hey, this is what I'm being told. What do you think? Hey, what you want to do? If you want to stay in, you better just figure things out. Because if you go to those appointments, your career is done. Okay, well, let's figure it out. And
No one ever said to you, get yourself some help.
No.
Take care of yourself.
No.
I just...
No. We had men that, I mean, heck, we had almost a whole platoon that was just people being chaptered due to drug use, of people trying to numb it and just trying to deal with it because there was no help.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how to deal with it.
Right.
We were in a war that our country never experienced. We were seeing stuff that our country didn't know how to deal with. And you know, it's a learning experience. It's a process. You know, you can't hold it against anybody. You know, it's a journey for everybody. So we just dealt with it, and then we were getting ready to round up for deployment number 3. This time we were going to Afghanistan. I came down recruiting orders, or actually I got a school date for recruiting school, and didn't end up getting orders. Was hoping that I wouldn't come down on them because I wanted to go to Afghanistan. I knew we were going to go to a pretty exciting area, so I figured, you know what, here's another chance.
Another chance to die?
Yeah. I had 2 deployments, and I failed at both of them because I was still alive. So here I am, just numb. I mean, heck, there was a time on my first tour before I even went to the sniper section. So before we got there in August, so before November 19th, we got a call that there was a oil drum full of 155 rounds and a bunch of nuts and bolts set up to go off. So we go and find this. We're driving down the road and I see it. I yell for him to stop. Our driver slams on the brakes, pulls off on the side of the road, and when I see it, says, "Hey Miller, get up out of the turret. Get out to your 5s and 25s and search the area. I'm gonna put I'll be up in the gun for you." Yeah, whatever. Okay. So I get out, do my 5s and 25s, and I'm walking around. I look on the ground. And I'm like, let's look at that piece of shrapnel right there. I said, you know what? I'm gonna take that thing home. I said, one day, I'm gonna have a man cave. I'm gonna hang that thing up on my wall. I said, that'll be a good drinking story. That right there is what used to kill our people. That right there is what used to rip through our vehicles. So I'm sitting there and I'm kicking at it, trying to dig it up. And I'm like, what the crap? Why ain't this thing coming up? Hey, Nick. So come on over here, buddy. Hey, is that shrapnel? Is that an IED? What's he do? Kicks at it. I don't know. Hey, Cooper. Cooper comes running on over. IED or shrapnel? I don't know. He kicks at it. Engelman. Engelman comes running over. IED or shrapnel? I don't know. He kicks at it. Picone. Picone comes running over. Picone's like, oh my God! He runs away screaming. Lieutenant's like, what's going on? Hey, sir, I think we found an IED. Well, get the heck away from it, you idiots. Whatever. Casually just walk away from it.
Wow.
Call up EOD. EOD comes out. 3 155 rounds. Standing on top of it. They sit there and they trace the wire. Hear what happened when the Humvee slammed on its brakes, slid over the wire. The tire just severed the wire just enough that it didn't go through. So they traced the wire back. It was on the other side of the berm. Both ends of the wire was wrapped around both ends of the 9-volt battery. And there's a cigarette burning on the ground. Should have been vapor. Didn't care. We were just that numb. And that was only within the first couple months of the first deployment. So, I mean, it just kept piling on. You seeing people die, and you see people die from, just getting completely vaporized because of these explosives. And then you see people die where there's an explosion that goes off, and you just see somebody slump over thinking they're knocked out. Just a little bit of blood running out their ear. You have no idea. And here, tiniest piece of shrapnel the size of a piece of pencil lead just happened to hit them in the right spot.
Yeah.
So then, you just get that mindset. It's like, we're walking dead.
Right.
it's just whenever your time comes up, so you just quit caring. You just figure, you know what, I'm dead anyways.
Doesn't matter.
Nope. So yeah, I mean, back-to-back deployments, and you just become numb, and you just quit caring, and so they tell me, you're going to recruiting just before my third deployment, and I went clear to the brigade commander. I was like, sir, I am not meant for recruiting. I joined the infantry for a reason. I trained these men. I'm meant to go to war. I'm not meant to go sit behind a desk. This is what I'm meant to do. And he says, Sergeant Miller, you've deployed twice. You just had your second child. Go to recruiting. Relax for 3 years and enjoy your time with your family. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll really enjoy that.
Yep.
That's easy for me.
Sure. Recruiting, waking up, leaving my house before 5 o'clock every morning, not making it home till after midnight, Monday through Friday, sometimes on Saturdays. If I had a kid joining the Army on Monday, guess what? I'd have to leave Sunday night to go pick the kid up, take him to the airport. So, yeah, there's not much of a life in recruiting. I mean, there would be times that I would literally see a difference in my children from the times that I was seeing, because there would sometimes be a week or two because I was home. My parents lived right there in town. So,
Right.
I had my mom and dad, or mom and stepdad, my dad and my stepmom, and, my wife's dad. So there's 3 sets of grandparents right there. So almost every weekend my kids would go to a different, stay with a different grandparent, spend time. So there'd be times that I wouldn't see them for a week or two, and I'd see them and I'd be like, holy cow, it's getting bigger, your hair's longer, what in the world's going on? It's like, gee whiz, this is ridiculous. And I was in recruiting for 3 years, and I would go to school, and the office lady's like, we look forward to you coming every week, because you come in and you just got this bright smile, and we're so excited to see you because you're just so happy all the time. Yep, I'm just so happy to be here. I was suicidal every single day. Every day in recruiting, I wanted to die. Every semi, I would just think, just pull in front of it, it'd be over. That's it, done. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't become a statistic. I did not want my family knowing me as a statistic the rest of their lives. So I excelled in recruiting, became one of the best. They were begging me to stay. I couldn't. I knew if I stayed, I would be a statistic.
Yeah.
Instead, I had to find a unit that was deploying so I could be remembered as a hero when I got killed overseas. And so I left recruiting and went to Fort Stewart, where I trained with my guys for a year, preparing to go to Afghanistan. And a month before deploying, I ruptured a disc in my back, and that's when they stopped me and made me the rear DNCOIC, and had to have back surgery. And that just led to a downward spiral, and the drinking became worse, and then the pills became worse because they were like candy at that point. Pain pills, muscle relaxers, anxiety pills, antidepressant pills, Ritalin for the brain injuries or the ADD, ADHD, which they diagnosed me with first instead of the brain injuries. And anti-anxiety medication and sleep medication. So all this stuff on top of the drinking. And there would be times I wouldn't remember how I got to work. There'd be weeks of work that I wouldn't remember what happened, what I did, how I got there, who I dealt with. I just wouldn't even remember.
Just blackouts.
Yep. And one night, my wife came out in the garage, and I'm sitting out there half drunk with my pistol sitting on my workbench. And that's when she said, she goes, you know what? She goes, who cares about the Army? The Army does us no good if you are not here. She goes, your kids deserve better. She goes, I deserve better. She goes, but most importantly, you deserve better. She goes, look what you have given this country. Look what you are willing to do for this country. She goes, go get the help that you deserve, that you have earned. She goes, go get fixed. We have your back. We're here. We'll support you. We need you. So I went and I got help. And did 35 days inpatient. Came back October 1st. Got a call October 11th from the brigade surgeon saying that I was being submitted for the medical evaluation board. And I said, well, I'll fight it. I said, because I'm good. I just did 35 days inpatient. I'm on top of the world. I am ready to take it on. I'm good. I'm solid. I'm not getting out. I'll fight it. She says, well, good luck. Because the president has just announced he's downsizing. He's cutting 10,000 E6s. And I've looked through your records. You got a lot wrong with you, and I just made you non-deployable. So guess what? Unfortunately, that means we really don't need you anymore, and you'll be one of the first ones cut. So you can either get a severance pay of $60,000, $70,000, one-time pay, and good luck, enjoy your life, or you can take my option. More than likely, you'll end up getting 100% because you got a lot wrong with you, and then go ahead and just enjoy the rest of your life. You've earned it.
Wow.
So I went ahead and went through it and was medically retired, was given 100%, and was told, congratulations, you've earned it. Here's 100%. Go enjoy the rest of your life and do nothing but spend time with your family. I couldn't do nothing. I went from being surrounded by men that I loved, that were willing to die for me, that I was willing to die for, that I could just look at them and tell there was something wrong. They could just tell something was wrong with me, and we could just talk and deal with it and work through it and figure things out, to where now I'm a civilian that nobody has any idea what it is I'm dealing with. When I do talk about these things, they look at me like I'm crazy. They look at me like I'm just, talking about a movie. And I couldn't talk to my family because I didn't want to put the burden on them. I didn't want them worrying about me. And I thought by me sharing and telling them the stuff I was dealing with, I thought that I would warp, their mind. I thought I'd be putting these images in their heads. But one of the things I learned, in my therapy was, if you don't talk to your loved ones, you're leaving their imagination to figure out what's going on. And unfortunately, the imagination is endless, and it will run wild, and they will think of the absolute worst imaginable things out there, and they'll never understand. They'll never be able to help you work through this. So I started talking to my wife, and I started sharing and opening it up. My wife didn't hear any stories about any of my stuff until 2013.
Wow.
Unless I was drunk around the fire with my brothers.
Yeah.
Then she would overhear stuff. But it wasn't until then, until we actually started communicating, conversing back and forth. We started making a list of my triggers, different things that would, set me off. I'd start letting her know, when I would start feeling anxious. She would start taking notes when she would notice me go from a good mood to 100. She would sit there and analyze it and figure out, what happened, or she would take notes of what the situation was going on. And then when I would cool down, she would talk to me about it, and we would discuss it together, and I would fill her in. Okay, this is what happened. And a lot of times that talk back and forth would a lot of times get me to think about it and work through it and identify, like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, now that makes sense. This is what happened. I smelt this. or I heard this, or I seen this, or, this happened, whatever it was. And so we started identifying these things. And, now having my wife, who a lot of times will start identifying and start noticing me having, these anxiety attacks, the leg shaking, the digging at the fingers, the faster breathing, the standing, the pacing, the scanning the room, putting the back to the corner. She starts noticing those things. And instead of causing a scene, simply, come, maybe just throw her arm around me and say, hey, I forgot we, have something, or I forgot this at the house. Hey, I think we gotta go. Whatever it is, just to break up the scene.
To pull you out of that situation.
Exactly.
That's what I overheard today, and what I was alluding to earlier. You gave people this morning some wonderful, tangible ideas. And so I know somebody was talking about, because PTSD, it doesn't just affect you, right? It impacts your whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And of course your wife. So, it's the two of you the whole family figuring out a solution and how to deal with it as a family. And so you figured out ways to deal with your PTSD. And so I love that idea of making a list of triggers, and your wife taking notes, and sometimes noticing before you do, because when you get in it and when you start to panic, you get really overwhelmed by your senses and emotions. And so she kind of knows to gently maybe nudge you out of a situation, or to give you or to say something to you to kind of help get you out of that, or to remove you out of something before it does escalate. And so I think people really appreciated that this morning, because it is a partnership. It's not something that you really can do on your own. It's going to take the two of you. So that was really great advice.
Yeah, it's when you start going down that, we were living everyday life and death. You're in the zone. You have to be. So when that stuff starts reliving, you space out. You are now back in the fight. You are now focused on whatever it was that has triggered you. You're now reliving that. You're not aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
And that's why I thank God, my wife, oh my goodness, I can't even pay my wife back. God, she's a freaking godsend.
What's her name?
Allison.
Yeah, Allison sounds amazing.
She's an angel. She stuck by my side when I didn't want to stick with myself.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know why. I think she's crazy. But thank God.
I think she loves you. Right?
She definitely, she's got to love me to still be around. And I thank God every day because I wouldn't be here without her.
Yeah.
She reminds me that this is a journey. Even now, my God, I have been out of the Army since August of 14. So I got out, medically retired in August of 14. I'm now surrounded by civilians who don't understand. And before Thanksgiving hit of 2014, I'm at the end. I got a gun in my hand and my head, and I'm done. Reliving the nightmares of me being left behind.
Still drinking?
Still drinking. Medications, whatever I can do to just be numb. And so yeah, now if there was a round in my chamber that morning, I wouldn't be here. And it's 4:00 in the morning. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, who in the heck do you call at 4:00 in the morning? Nobody. You don't want to be a burden to anybody at 4:00 in the morning. Well, what's the Army say? Drink water, drive on. Suck it up, figure it out. You got it. So put the pistol away, because the only thought that went through my head at that time was, if you rack around in this chamber, it's going to wake your wife up. She's going to ask questions, and you're going to have to talk. The thought never even went through my mind of what would have happened if there was a round that chamber. I didn't even see, I wasn't able to see past the fact that I just wanted to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted the nightmares to end. I just wanted the pain to end. I just wanted to be normal. I just wanted comfort. I just wanted it to stop. I didn't think about the fact that I would have completely destroyed my wife's life. My son, who was sleeping upstairs above me. My daughter, who was across the hallway from him. Waking up to their mother screaming and crying after they hear a gunshot.
Yeah.
That never went through my head at all. And that kills me now, because I think of that and I'm like, oh my God. Thank you, Jesus, for there not being around that chamber.
Yeah.
Because that was just a speed bump. That was seconds of my entire life. A hiccup. That's it.
Yeah.
And I was ready to quit. And so, you know, I went and sat on the couch, and every time I tried to deal with it, I just started hyperventilating, and I would just start melting down. And so finally I called the VA, and I was on the phone. I said, look, I said, I about killed myself this morning. I said, I'm hurting. I need help. I don't know what to do. I said, I feel like I failed. I feel broken. I feel lost. I don't know. I said, I need help, and I need it bad. She says, well, you're suicidal right now. And I said, well, no. Right now, I'm on the phone with you reaching out for help. I said, but another night like last night, I said, I'm promising you I'm done. Okay, let me put you on hold real quick. Alrighty,
I
thank
cringe
you.
when I hear that.
And then they come back with an appointment for Friday, 2 days later.
Awful.
And I said, well, thanks for not giving me 1 day to call bull crap, but 2. I appreciate that. And I hung up the phone. And they didn't call back to check on me.
Nothing.
Nobody came to check on me, nothing. And seconds after I hung up the phone, I get a text message from an old lieutenant that I served with my second deployment. He was the mortar platoon leader while I was a sniper team leader. And he messaged me. He's like, hey, I got this project I'm doing at Georgetown for my master's. If you're interested in participating, give me a call. And that call, he could tell there's something wrong with me. He asked me if everything was all right. I told him everything was not all right. I was failing, and I felt like I was broken. And he came flat out and asked me, he said, man, are you thinking about killing yourself? And all I could do was laugh. I said, dude, I said, if my pistol was loaded this morning, I said, we would not even be talking right now. I said, so yes, I have been thinking about killing myself. And so we talked, and that call turned into a 6-hour call where he gave me a different outlook on life. He said, why'd you serve? I said, well, I watched 9/11 happen, and I was furious, and I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to protect the ones that I loved. He said, all right, well, while you served, he said, the government paid you, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, all right, well, when the government told you couldn't do it anymore, he said, is the VA paying you? I said, yeah, they're paying me. He said, all right, well, now look at it as the VA is paying you to take care of your brothers and your sisters. He said, because your story is going to save lives and it needs to be told. I said, man, I ain't got a story. I said, I did my job and that's it. I said, my coolest stories, I said, I was on missions with Chris Kyle, and I said, other than that, I ain't got a story. I said, the story of those that didn't make it back. He says, yeah, but you made it back. You're here. They didn't make it back. You are the one that's here to tell their story. If you're not here to tell their story, who is? He said, your story's going to save lives. We need to share this. So whatever. So like always, procrastinated. Didn't want to write my story. Was still living in my sorrows. And finally, mother-in-law was like, hey, I see you're hurting. I'd like for you to come to church with me this weekend. I said, why?
Why would I want to do that?
Exactly. Why would I want to go to church? There's nothing up there, otherwise there would not be all this misery going on. He wouldn't have let me see all that. He wouldn't all this crap be going on. He would have let my friends come home, or he'd have let me die and my friends come back. That way I wouldn't be suffering. She says, please, just give it a try. Come this weekend. I said, you know what, I'll come. If it shuts you up about this, I said, I'll be there. I said, it's one weekend. She goes, that's all I'm asking is just one. I said, fine. I go that weekend, and I'm sitting there in church, and I'm mad, and I'm like ticked off that I'm even there. That she convinced me to go, and I just started going off. Started just cussing out God, yelling at him, blaming him, just arguing and fighting and questioning him why. And then I challenged him. I said, you know what, if you're really up there, I said, just strike me down dead right now. Just end it. And it's like somebody was talking right in my ear. I heard clear as day, quit feeling sorry for yourself. Look at everything that I have pulled you through. What good is it to have an answer to a secret if you keep it a secret? Share your struggles and hardships to give others strength and courage to pull forward. Well, it looks like I need to go home and write my story. Still procrastinated. Still took me months to write. I would start writing, I would start crying, and
Wow.
finally end up getting it written, send it off to my buddy. He comes back and he's like, holy freaking crap, dude. He's like, I have known you for years. He's like, and I had no idea you've had any of this stuff going on. Because we were told not to deal with it. We were told to just let it go, figure
Is
it
this
out.
the story that I read that you sent me?
The human cost of war?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Can you tell people how to?
Yeah, you just if you just Google the human cost of war, story of Justin Miller.
It's pretty amazing. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. He ended up getting it published. He sent me an email. I was like, hey, he's like, we're live. He goes, Twitter's ruined our nation of not wanting to read more than 500 words. He said, so, expect 300 to 400 people to read this. He said, but, hey, 300 to 400 people, it's 300 to 400 lives you've made a difference in.
Might help somebody.
Yep. So I'm like, whatever, I wrote it. It's out there. Who cares? I look back at it now and I'm like, you know what? That was my suicide note. I wrote my story because I wanted everybody to know why I killed myself. I wanted the world to know why Justin Miller quit, why he couldn't take it anymore. And I reached out to him the next day. I was like, dude, how's it going? He's like, man, you're not going to believe this. He said, but we already have over 1,000 readers. And by the end of the week, we were over 5,000 readers. And then I started getting messages. Hey, I read your story, and I wanted to thank you because I now know what my loved ones are going through. Or, hey, I read your story, and thank you because I now know I'm not alone. That got me through the night. And that's when it hit me that, holy cow, maybe my story is going to make a difference. And then a guy named Ryan Pereira read it and was like, hey, guys, not enough is being done for our veterans. He goes, and I have this app idea. I want to give it to you guys. I don't want anything for it. I just want to be along for the ride to see the difference that it makes. His idea originally was like Yelp for veterans, where no matter where you're at, you could log on and find a vet center or a VA or clergy, whatever way you could get help. But while doing research, we found out that when most veterans decide to take their lives, they usually do it within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're like, we don't have time for them to get on an app, try to find a place, call them, be sent to voicemail, put on hold, schedule an appointment for 2 days later.
2 days later, yeah.
It was like, we need something that's instant. And I said, there's so many people out there that fear reaching out for help for the fear of losing their career. I was like, we need something that's instant, and we need something that's anonymous. These people need to feel completely comfortable of opening up. And so that's where the Objective Zero Foundation came to life. We came up with the name Objective Zero because our objective is 0 suicides.
Yeah.
And so we came up with the Objective Zero app. It's in the Apple and Google Play Store. It's free to download, free to use. We cover all the cost on the back end, so nobody using the app will ever have to worry about any cost. And it's ran by completely volunteers. People are there because they care.
Yeah.
Not there because they're there to get a paycheck. They're there because they care. These are people that are not just saying thank you for your service. These are people who are saying thank you for your service, talk to me about it. Let me hear about it. What are you going through? What struggles are you dealing with? Let's talk about this. How can I help you out? Is there anything that I can do that can help you get through this? And then we help them out, connect them to resources and different programs that are available that are free or highly discounted for our military community. So our app is available for veterans, all service members, all of their family members, and caregivers. It allows instant and anonymous connection in a time of need by a touch of a button via voice, video, or text. App has been out this December. It will be 2 years, and we currently have over 6,000 people using the app. We have over 1,100 people that are trained in suicide prevention that are there to answer the phone.
That's amazing.
Thank
Does thinking about suicide ever go away?
I don't want to say it goes away. There's always going to be your ups and your downs.
Right.
We came up with this app idea, and I was on cloud 9. I'm like, holy cow, we have this freaking amazing technology that's going to save lives. It's free. It's awesome. We need this in our nation. We're going to get all this support. This is going to be so cool, and we weren't getting the support that I was expecting or hoping for. And I began to spiral again. And once again, I just hit rock bottom. I was back to drinking, back to trying to just numb everything, just trying to hope that eventually everything would just kind of figure itself out. And then I thank God I found this program called Save a Warrior. If you want to look into it, it's free for veterans and first responders. SaveAwarrior.org. It's free to go to. All you gotta do is pay for your travel to get there. But I promise you, it's life changing. It literally gave me my life back. They help you identify the root cause of your trauma. It's best described as a war detox.
Wow.
It was. I just can't brag enough about that program. Jake Clark, Hags. There's just so many people out there that have lived through this crap, have struggled, have been in this foxhole, ready to die, been in the darkest moments, and were pulled out by other warriors that have figured their way through it. And now they are wounded healers that are sharing their life experiences, that are being vulnerable, opening up about their worst experiences to help others work through them. And you know, and that got my life back on track. At that point, you know, that was last October. At that point, we had less than 1,000 people total on the app, including users and ambassadors.
Yeah.
And like I said, this last October has been a year sobriety, and now we have over 6,000 people.
I was going to ask you, were you able to stop drinking? And
Yeah.
that is incredible. And we talked a little bit about that earlier today. I was curious. And, you know, well, I love wounded healers. I love that word. And when we were talking about the drinking earlier, and I was asking, you know, what helps you, and you were talking about service work, helping others. And there's nothing more powerful. You know, therapy's great, of course, but there's nothing more powerful than helping someone or being helped by someone that you can really identify with, that's been through something similar, that you can identify with. And there's nothing more powerful than that. And so, yeah, wounded healers, that's such a powerful word.
Yeah, they so in Save a Warrior, you know, one of the things they teach is you know, the best way to help others is to help yourself.
Yes.
You know, if
First.
you don't have your stuff together, you know, when you're flying a plane, what do they tell you? If the oxygen mask drop, put yours on first.
Yeah.
If you don't have your stuff together, how can you help somebody else?
Yeah.
So I got my stuff together. It's work. It's not
work.
just it's not a miracle. It's not a light that you just flip a switch and all of a sudden it goes away.
Yeah.
It's not. I wish it was that easy. Believe me, I
Right.
wish I had that
It'd be
answer.
nice.
But no, it's a journey, and it's a process, and it's work, and there's multiple methods, and the more tools that you have in your kit, the more people that you have in your tribe that understand, that have been through these programs, that have worked through their own trauma and know how to relate, the more of those you have, the easier it is to climb out of those holes.
Yeah.
So life is like a roller coaster. You got your ups and your downs. You need to learn to ride the highs.
Yeah.
And when you're in the lows, you need to learn to identify and reach out to somebody to help pull you out of that as fast as you can.
Right.
You know, I was living on cloud nine. Here I am. I'm coming to Massachusetts, and I'm coming to speak to over 1,000 airmen, you know, to help change lives and motivate people and give them, you know, that fire back. And going to New York to be on the freaking Today Show
next
week for Veterans Day, and I'm like, man, I got things going on, you know, life is great.
Good.
Yeah. And then I woke up one day, and I just, from the time I opened my eyes, I was just angry. I was so mad, and I had no idea why. I just was ticked off the world. I wanted to break everything. I wanted to burn every relationship down around me. I wanted to fight with my wife. I wanted to get rid of my kids as fast as possible onto the bus. I wanted to find anybody I could to fight with, and I couldn't figure out why. But thank God I had my Saw brothers. I have a group text. I got on there. I sent a group text to my brothers. Hey guys, I do not know why, but I want to burn everything around me down. I want to destroy every relationship I have. I'm struggling. Help. Threw my phone down, figured, you know what? We'll see. And then all of a sudden, bing, 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 bing. And it's like my phone just started going off left and right. Bro, I love you. Hey, we got you. What's going on? Let's talk about this. Give me a call. I'm calling you right now. Phone's going off. Hey, brother, it's Justin, man. Let's talk about this. What's going on, bro? Man, you are one of the stronger ones. You reaching out set the example for the rest of us, so you need to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You just showed the rest of us that it's okay to reach out even when you look like you have things going on. You've just showed us that even when you look like you got things going on, that things can still come crashing down.
Right.
It happens. That is part of life. That's why it's a journey. You know, miracles come from crap. You never have this freaking awesome moment and then a miracle come from an awesome moment.
That's very true.
You know?
That's very true.
You know, these inspirational stories come from these really tough times. You know, these tough times where people didn't quit, where people kept going, people reached out, people were vulnerable and told their stories. People lived to help others, lived for others. You're given one life, one chance to make a difference. Just the fact that you're alive is a miracle. The fact that you woke up this morning is a miracle. All you got is today. Can't worry about yesterday. Can't change it. Can't worry about tomorrow because it's not guaranteed. You know, I read a book. If you're dealing with depression, it's because you're worried about yesterday. If you're dealing with anxiety, it's because you're worried about tomorrow. And I had an old lady that told me one day, said, you got your left leg in yesterday and your right leg, and tomorrow you're pissing away today.
That's right.
And, you know, it's true.
Yeah.
Today is what you got to focus on. If you focus on today, you pave the path for tomorrow. So right now is what you got to take care of. Take care of yourself today. Take care of those around you. Set small goals. First alarm, get up out of bed. As soon as the alarm gets up, get out of bed, stand up and stretch. There you go. You just accomplished your first goal. Make your bed. Pull your sheets up, your blanket up. There you go. You made it. There's goal number 2. You set yourself up for a successful day right off the bat. You've accomplished 2 simple goals within the first 30 seconds of waking up. Now, I set myself an easy goal. If I can just go every day and if I can make one person smile, then I did my job. I made one person's day better.
Yeah.
And if I can go to bed at night and I can say, you know what? I made that person smile. Okay, I can lay my bed down and I can go to bed easier.
Yeah. Well, I love, your story is so much about connection and belonging. Well, you talked about all your deployments and how you felt like you belonged, and then and now through your struggles, trying to figure out how you belong, and then now finding belonging. When you went to Save a Warrior, and now with Objective Zero, and again, that's what we were talking a lot about this morning in our stand down and in our small groups, trying to get people to connect and to belong. And so after you spoke, again, when I went around to the groups, I really heard people allowing themselves to be more vulnerable and sharing things about themselves. They were talking about how they cope and some of the things that they struggle with, giving suggestions around how to reach out to each other and how to increase that sense of belonging. And again, I really thank you for giving them some concrete suggestions around that. Any final thoughts? Again, we've been talking with Justin Miller. I encourage you to look at the story that he wrote, The Human Cost of War, the Justin Miller story. And I downloaded his app on my phone. It's a wonderful app. Even as a provider and a civilian, I was able to look on your app and find some resources that I'll be able to pass on to some of the service members that come in and see me. So that was really, really helpful. Any final words? I mean, you've given some great suggestions, so I appreciate it. But yeah, any final words that you would like to say?
Yeah, there's no one program. There's no one resource.
One size fits all.
Exactly. I've been through Save a Warrior. I was invited through the Mighty Oaks Warrior program, which is another amazing program that's a week long. Chad Robichaud, he's a MMA fighter. He actually started the program. It's completely free for veterans. They have one for first responders, and then on top of that, once the veteran goes through, they also have one that the spouse can go through, so they help the spouse understand the traumas, because they know that the veteran's trauma or the service member's trauma also transitions over to the spouse, so they make that available. Then you have PTSD Foundation of America, which is another amazing program. Offers up to 6 months of a complete transition, teaching all your basics, your finance, your budget, resume building, how to get a job, basically get you a job before you leave. So all these programs are just ways to build your arsenal of tools to survive. Tools to help your other brothers and sisters that you served with, that when they call you struggling or you see them spiraling on social media or disconnecting, that you can say, hey, I've been to this, dude. Please give this 1 week a try. That's it. All I'm asking is a week.
And are these resources on your app?
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
they're all on your app.
They're all on the app. When you download the app, on the bottom right corner, there's a resource tab that is full of free resources that are there that are just dying for people to use.
Great.
So take advantage of them. I need your guys' help. We had a goal of having like 7,000 people by Veterans Day is what, the rest of the organization said. Say, hey, if we have 7,000 by Veterans Day, that's great. Not me. My goal, I want 10,000 using the app by the end of Veterans Day. So if you're listening to this,
get on it.
Get on it, please. Right now, we're losing 20 veterans a day.
Yeah.
Over 7,000 a year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Out of the 20 a day, 14 of them are not using the VA. So the VA, we've partnered with the VA. So we have access to the 6 out of those 20. But the 14, they're not using it. We need your help. We need people that are listening to help. The family members, the friends, the people they know that have served. We need you to tell these people about this. So please share, push us on social media. Some of you kids have a lot of followers. A lot of the younger generation understand this social media better than I do. I'm still stuck on the whole Facebook stuff.
I know.
So
yes. So thank you so much, Justin. We've really enjoyed having you here today. I know as I walked around with Justin, and when he finished speaking today, there were just lines of people waiting to talk to him. So we really appreciate the impact that he made on the wing and with our members today. So, and especially with our young airmen that, some of them that haven't even gone off to basic yet. We were having lunch at the DFAC today, and some of our young airmen came up to you, and they were you could just tell. I mean, people were very, very moved by your story. So thank you. Thank you for making a huge difference. We appreciate having you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Very, very amazing experience. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.